of men, and heed of earthly wrongs. I who stand and thus exult to see this man lie wound in robes the Furies wove, slain in requital of his father's craft. Take ye the truth, that Atreus, this man's sire, the lord and monarch of this land of old, held with my sire Thyestes deep dispute, brother with brother, for the prize of sway, and drave him from his home to banishment. Thereafter the lorn exile homeward stole, and clung a suppliant to the hearth divine, and for himself won this immunity, not with his own blood to defile the land that gave him birth. But Atreus, godless sire of him who here lies dead, this welcome planned. With zeal that was not love, he feigned to hold in loyal joy a day of festal cheer, and bade my father to his board, and set before him flesh that was his children once. First, sitting at the upper board alone, he hid the fingers and the feet, but gave the rest. And readily Thyestes took what to his ignorance no semblance wore of human flesh, and ate. Behold what curse that eating brought upon our race and name! For when he knew what all unhallowed thing he thus had wrought, with horror's bitter cry back starting, spewing forth the fragments foul, on Pelops' house a deadly curse he spake. As darkly as I spurn this damned food, so perish all the race of Pleisthenes. Thus by that curse fell he whom here ye see, and I, who else, this murder wove and planned. For me, an infant yet in swaddling bands, of the three children youngest, Atreus sent to banishment by my sad father's side. But justice brought me home once more, grown now to manhood's years, and stronger though I was, my right hand reached into the chieftain's life, plotting and planning all that malice bade, and death itself were honor to me now, beholding him in justice ambushed ta'en.
Aegisthus, for this insolence of thine, that vaunts itself in evil, take my scorn. Of thine own will thou sayest thou hast slain the chieftain, by thine own unaided plot devised the piteous death. I rede thee well. Think not thy head shall scape, when right prevails, the people's ban, the stones of death and doom.
This word from thee, this word from one who rose low at the oars beneath, what time we rule, we of the upper tier. Thou'lt know anon 'tis bitter to be taught again in age by one so young, submission at the word. But iron of the chain and hunger's throes can minister unto an o'erswollen pride marvellous well, ay, even in the old. Hast eyes, and seest not this? Peace! Kick not thus against the pricks, unto thy proper pain.
Thou womanish man, waiting till war did cease, home watcher and defiler of the couch, and arch deviser of the chieftain's doom.
Bold words again, but they shall end in tears. The very converse thine of Orpheus' tongue. He roused and led in ecstasy of joy all things that heard his voice melodious. But thou, as with the futile cry of curs, wilt draw men wrathfully upon thee. Peace, or strong subjection, soon shall tame thy tongue.
Ay, thou art wont to hold an Argive down, thou'rt skilled to plan the murder of the king, but not with thine own hand to smite the blow.
That fraudful force was woman's very part, not mine, whom deep suspicion from of old would have debarred. Now by his treasure's aid my purpose holds to rule the citizens. But whoso will not bear my guiding hand, him for his corn-fed mettle I will drive, not as a trace-horse light caparisoned, but to the shafts with heaviest harness bound. Famine, the grim mate of the dungeon dark, shall look on him and shall behold him tame.
Thou losel soul, was then thy strength too slight to deal in murder, while a woman's hand, staining and shaming Argus and its gods, availed to slay him? Oh, if anywhere the light of life smite on Orestes' eyes, let him, returning by some guardian fate, hew down with force her paramour and her.
How thy word and act shall issue thou shalt shortly understand.
Up to action, O my comrades, for the fight is hard at hand. Swift, your right hands to the sword hilt, bear the weapon as for strife.
Lo, I too am standing ready, hand on hilt for death or life.
'Twas thy word, and we accept it. Onward to the chance of war.
Nay, enough, enough, my champion. We will smite and slay no more. Already we have reaped enough the harvest field of guilt, enough of wrong and murder. Let no other blood be spilt. Peace, old men, and pass away unto the homes by fate decreed, lest ill valor meet our vengeance. 'Twas a necessary deed, but enough of toils and troubles. Be the end, if ever, now, ere thy talon, O avenger, deal another deadly blow. 'Tis a woman's word of warning, and let who will list thereto.
But that these should loose and lavish reckless blossoms of the tongue, and in hazard of their fortune cast upon me words of wrong, and forget the law of subjects, and revile their ruler's word.
Ruler? But 'tis not for Argives thus to own a dastard lord.
I will follow to chastise thee in my coming days of sway.
Not if fortune guide Orestes safely on his homeward way.
Ah, well I know how exiles feed on hopes of their return.
Fare and batten on pollution of the right, while 'tis thy turn.
Thou shalt pay, be well assured, heavy quittance for thy pride.
Crow and strut, with her to watch thee, like a cock his mate beside.
Heed not thou too highly of them. Let the cur-pack growl and yell. I and thou will rule the palace, and will order all things well.
All exit. End of Agamemnon.
End of section 2.